Hello, friends and brothers. This is Justin Jones with Masonic Improvement, and we are joined with my co-host, Brother Dennis Yates. How you doing, brother?
Wonderful. How about you?
I am outstanding. I'm outstanding. My summer's come to an end. I'm an educator, so I'm going back to work tomorrow. So I'm ready. It's been
Right,
I love taking vacations and being home with the family, but also about this time every summer.
right.
So everyone
You
that
seem
says teaching,
excited.
well,
That
people that
first
like
day of
teaching.
school.
Yeah, well, it's not even with kids. It's just like in service and stuff like that. But yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Getting
So
ready for them.
yeah. So speaking
Yeah.
of
Nice. Speaking of education.
exactly, speaking of education, tonight's topic is going to be over the subject of creating an educational program in your lodge from the ground up. And so this is a really great topic, but Dennis, you recommended it. This was your idea. And so I'm curious if you had something in mind that spurred it, or if you had something that was really on your chest about it that you wanted to start off with.
Well, to be honest with you, the I was on my way home today. I was listening to our very first episode together when you interviewed me,
Mm,
and I was thinking about it, and I was listening, and I kept talking about education throughout the whole thing, and I kept talking about invest, invest, invest throughout the whole thing. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, for a lodge who is interested in doing this, what does that look like, and where does it begin?
mm.
So I've got something in my mind already. So let me ask you, since you're the educator, what is the very first thing that should be considered when deciding on an educational program or an education program for your lodge?
What's the overall goal of my educational program? And you could say, well, it's to educate the brothers, to bring light. Sure, right? That's I think that's a byproduct, and it's something we should definitely do. But I think really what you want to really ask yourself is what if I had a year to deliver an educational program, how do I want the lodge to look different through the programs I've brought as opposed to if I had nothing at all? And I guess it's another way of saying what do I want the theme of the year to be? And if you go about inviting people, that's fine. But most presenters either have like this cowlick, it won't go away. Most presenters either have like one or two really great presentations that they're kind of known for,
Right.
but you have others like Dennis and myself, and there's several others um, that will ask what do you really want brought to your lodge? And I feel like too few lodges really capitalize on that because I've asked that several times, and I don't think I've ever got like a for sure like this is really what I want you to deliver. Aside from what I'm going to be delivering in Royce City, that's the first time someone said, "Please deliver something along these lines." And
Right.
I don't know if your mileage has varied a whole lot, but if I am in charge of education, say I want to um, really impart the importance of solemnity in our degrees or something like that. I really want to level up how seriously we take our degrees here. Well, the best way to do that would be through a series of educational programs, just a little bit at a time. That by the end of the year, the brothers that have been through at least the majority of these programs will have a different outlook on degrees than they did in at the beginning of the year, right? There's a lot more to that we can unpack, but that's kind of where I think that's the first thing you want to do is decide your theme. What is going to be the theme this year? Because theme determines direction, and then once you have that, then you can focus on your planning, scheduling your speakers, and things like that. What are your thoughts?
I have a similar thought as far as theme, more like a vision. And I wouldn't say I'm not so much into the baby step kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'm looking at when I think of what's the first thing, I'm thinking of, okay, of course, like you said, what's my end result? Do I want to have speakers? Do I want to have um, newsletters? Do I want to have both? Do I want to, are they going to coincide with each other?
Hmm.
Are they going to not? And I don't want to limit it to a theme because you never really know how quick the lodge is going to take hold of it,
Mhm.
right? Why would I want to limit my lodge by just having this one little theme in baby steps if my lodge gets that first piece and says, "Oh my gosh, oh," and just wants more,
Yeah.
right? When they give the Hank Hill, it's time to move on. It's time to start grilling with propane and
Mhm.
propane accessories.
I think what you're saying, that's just good education, right? So if I say, hey, this is going to be my theme, and then say I start in like August, my first presentation's in August. And by September, I'm like, these guys are really, they're catching on real fast to this. This is going faster than I expected. In good education, what you do is you always look at the results, right? And so if the kids are going to education, if the kids are like already grasping everything, like, hey, we covered this last year, it was just more like a review of the new content, then you fast forward and you level that up. Say, hey, we're gonna go to the next level with this. We don't have to start off with baby steps, right? It's also called
Right,
scaffolding, right? You start off with low and then you build your way up. But if you start building low and as a parent, like, hey, they're up here, then you just fast forward everything. And you could still stick with your theme, I think, but you're just going to say, hey, we need a like whoever's going to present or whatever you're writing or anything like that, you just got to kick it up. Say, hey, these guys already understand this at this level, right? Because you don't want to bore people. You don't want to be
right,
you don't want to bore them or be condescending, if that makes sense. Like you
right.
don't want to be teaching them something like this is stupid. I already know that. Right. Like if you're gonna go to a lodge and teach Kabbalah, you probably will assume, hey, we're gonna start pretty low because most people don't know Kabbalah. If you're going to go to a lodge and talk about checkered payment, something like that, or cardinal virtues, that you might start a little bit higher because people they're already familiar with at least a basic familiarity with the cardinal virtues.
Right. Some
And
of the
so
basic concepts. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you kind of got to determine where they're at. And sometimes you don't know it until you start delivering it. And then sometimes you'll think you're at the very bottom level and you start teaching it and it is apparent like you way overestimated these people. And so and I've seen it, but dude, I've given a EA lecture before and the guy's just he's sitting there like just open mouth gawking, like he has no clue what words I'm even saying. It's like even the lecture is too much for you, too advanced, the lodge has failed somewhere, right? But
Oh my God. You really expect that every person's going to have the same experience when it comes to that? I mean, at that point, when I got to that point, I was dead tired.
oh, I
When
get that. No, if it feels like I'm presenting it to a wall, it's like you could at least
right.
listen to the words and like you understand what I'm saying. That's
Well,
just
I'm pretty good at sitting there and just nodding.
just not, but don't like
So
open
that
mouth gawk at me.
right, I make eye contact and just nod and like I'm listening, but I may or may not be. That's up to you to decide. And
If I'm
so,
telling if someone was to ask me,
but if it's any of our people out there, I'm always listening.
yeah.
Now,
No,
if I
I would be
retain it,
lying.
that's a whole nother thing.
I would be lying if I could tell you anything that happened in my degree after it was over, right? Because it was just so
Right.
much so fast, right? If you wanted me to tell you anything I learned from that lecture, I could do it. But at least I could, oh, okay, wow, that's amazing. I could at least react to it. But that's off topic, I guess.
Well, I think that it's not necessarily off topic. Um, well, for like Goliad, one thing that we've done, or two things that we're doing now. So the first thing that we did is we started with a newsletter, and it was first in, and it's only like 4 months old, maybe a couple more months older, but it's not very old at all. And at first it was just general, information on what's going on in the district, blah blah blah. And then came the White Rabbit. And so then uh they introduced my portion called the White Rabbit, and which is, a little rabbit hole.
Mhm.
And it's still pretty general because it's going out to all of the brothers, right? And it's going out by email so that it hits every brother that has an email with our system. And then and one of the other things that I've recommended is that we start sending it by mail to anyone that we know is in a nursing home or what have you, so that
That's
they
just
get
courteous.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and also it gives them something to read, and even if they can't read it, makes them feel good, right? So, but now that has been going on for a few months, now we're introducing lecture series. So every stated meeting now, we're doing. There's going to be a presentation during the lodge meeting, like a lot of the lodges are doing right now. But one of the things that I'm curious to see how it all plays out and how the brothers really take to it is because, like you said, as far as the direction of the type of learning, it hasn't been established so much. But the good thing though is that there's all these fireball presenters, right?
Mhm.
So it starts off with me, and then it goes to Chris Williams, and then I think Aaron Tazinski, and then maybe Chris Ryland in there somewhere, and then the list just goes on. Every month is filled with somebody that's a really good presenter, and so that's the one thing I think will the uh, keep the attention of everybody is having good presenters.
Mhm.
But well, and maybe, and see, this is where I'm kind of torn, because it doesn't follow a specific theme, but maybe that's what the lodge needs, is that this month it's something that's kind of an eye opener in esoteric, call to action, and which is always what mine are going to be. Mine are always going to be a call to action, no matter what the topic is for whatever lodge. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. Goliad is no different. So mine is a call to action, which mine is peace and harmony, and who can best work and agree. So, um, and it's all based on education, fulfilling that, right? And fulfilling that ability to be able to do those things. So I'm kicking it off to try to help people have a little bit more of an open mind going forward, and not just feeling like this is that portion. When are we going to get home? Blah blah blah. Now they
Mhm.
may do that with me. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm going to laugh at them and say, and
Mhm.
then I said, I can't do the what was that, the sloth or whatever
Oh,
on
Sid the
on
Sloth. Yeah. I was thinking that teacher, Bueller,
yeah,
Bueller. I
Mueller,
can't remember that guy's name.
Mueller,
But
Mueller.
to your point though, I mean, your theme could be that I just want to introduce the lodge to a wide variety of Masonic topics that they may not have explored before. And
Right,
that's perfectly valid. You may not know, like I don't really know what you don't have to have like I don't want to sound nefarious, but you don't have to have an agenda for the education being like, hey,
right,
I want the lodge to think this way by the end of the year. That's not what I'm really trying to apply. It's
right.
just
There
if you
you
want
go.
them, if you're trying to
Because
say
that's what it sounded.
no, it's just the theme. Like if I want these guys to be more informed about this,
Right,
then I want to be sure that my education is geared more towards that. But you could also say I just want kind of like a popcorn, like I want a variety of education. And that way, if say like cardinal virtues. Again, we'll just, because we're going to be talking about that. There is always a possibility if you start education, like a lecture series, that you start in August, you plan to do it all the way again until May or June, that some of these people are just going to be burned out on it by the time it's over. Like, look, I'm tired of hearing about it. I get the idea. So if you think your lodge might have that because fatigues are, dude, like I said, I teach education. By the time May rolls around, it doesn't matter how good a science teacher you are. The kids are tired of hearing about science. They're tired of hearing about history. They need a break. Same thing. And so you might do like a variety. And if brothers really like, hey, I really loved what you had to say about the 3 theological virtues. I really would love to learn more about that. Well, now you have informed yourself, like, hey, I need to get into the program to go deeper into that. But you wouldn't have known if you didn't have like this, like a popcorn. I keep saying popcorn, but it's like a variety of topics, and you may not have had a cardinal virtue or theological virtue, like a whole lecture series planned out on it, right? And I'm not saying go with a lecture series just because one person liked it, but I'm saying by offering that variety, you might encourage thought. Like we're a variety show. We don't talk about the same stuff every week, and it's
Right.
to everybody's benefit, because when you hit on different topics, just because they might not care about the progressive line, they may be really interested in dues, like we've talked about a lot, or they may be really interested in creating an educational program. And so by having this variety, just because one thing isn't appealing to somebody doesn't mean that they won't get some value somewhere throughout the year. So it just depends. And like you said, it's totally, you don't feel conflicted about it. If that's the direction the lodge wants to go, just to enrich everybody in general, you can definitely do that. And again, since you said that, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about like pushing it. I'm talking, no,
Don't get a complex over it.
well, it's like the peace and harmony stuff, like you're talking
Right.
about. You're not pushing an agenda. You just really want everybody to, like, hey, we need to come together. This is a time, this is a year. We've been divisive in the past. It's time to come together. And like Brother Park said, look, assume the best in everybody, right? And that's very timely. It's a very good thing to be pushing this year. And so that's really what it is. Like, hey, this is where the lodge is. This is where I want it to be by the end of the year. We come from a place of divisiveness. I want to mend that over the year. And so that's my message this year. Something like that.
Right. Well, and in a way, you always ask me, what do you want to talk about this week? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a theme. So, and it. I mean, the listeners may not know it, but the theme is the fact that we've just gone through elections, and these are all things that are relevant today in today's Freemasonry with our new masters and with the new line, so that they can get their bearings on around the things that the goals that they're setting right now to try to have a gangbuster year. So we're trying to support that with those different thoughts. And it seems like popcorn, if you want to call it that, which I don't like that, because I think the big old, well, it's not so bad. The big old giant tin with the 3 kinds of popcorn in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it may
that's where it comes from.
Popcorn.
Like the old, like those giant Christmas tins, like you get gifted to you.
Point
like
given,
and the caramel
received.
But you're right. Even if it seems like parkour, we do have a theme, because
right.
This could have very easily been a Masonic history channel,
Right.
which would have bored the heck out of me. But
Yes.
that's not our theme, right? Our theme is taking modern lodges and bringing them decades down the road, carrying them,
right,
helping them to educate so they can be better. So even if, you're right. Even if it does seem like random things here and there, the theme is always, what can we do with where we're at, and what can we do to get where we need to be? I agree.
Right. Well, and in all reality, this is just the microcosm of the macro, because the macro is, how do we become a best in practice lodge, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that a lot lately, We've pushed those, triggers quite a bit lately to get that into people's minds. But that's ultimately what we're trying to do. I keep wanting to go like this because of the angle of the. That's ultimately what we. Well, that's ultimately what we want to do is become best in practice lodges. So, in fact, I need to call Pete and get him on the show here in the next couple of weeks. I keep forgetting. I've
I
had
was
so much
wondering about that, but I
here
thought you were
lately.
still
No,
traveling. So I figured it would be a bad
yeah,
time to
I
bring it up.
have been, and so that's why I put it off. But I need to go ahead and do that, get that in the books,
Speaking
so
of best
that
in practice, yeah.
yes, because that's going to be a good way to build a lodge ground up, literally, to a best in practice lodge
Mhm.
and internally, externally, metaphorically, whatever you want to, however you want to, whichever oracally you want to put behind it, you know.
Well, let's continue with your
Okay, let's
your
go. Let's go.
scheme because I like that. So we said that I think we went pretty in depth. Like if you want to create that program, what's the first thing you got to do? And you can call it whatever you want. You can call it a theme, you can call it a lecture series, you can call it a goal. You can just do it like whatever you want to do. That's fine. But
Yeah.
what would you say your second step is after you've identified what you want to present and how you want to present it? What's the next step?
Well, then you decide what it's going to take to make it happen. So you're going to need X amount of time. You're going to need X amount or you're going to have the right presenters that can present in X amount of time.
Mhm.
Because like most of my papers are 20-minute papers. You better be on point with your meeting if you're going to invite me over, because I'm not going to mess around and give you 5 minutes. I'm not
Mhm.
driving 500 miles to come to your lodge to give a 5 minute presentation to appease the brothers. So if you want me to show up, it's got to be the real deal. I'm not going to do it for a 5 minute presentation. And granted, I understand that there's members out there that they're older, they get tired. I get it. But that's why it's up to the master of the lodge to be efficient with their time, with everyone's time, so that it gives me time to present.
Mhm.
Because when you got me coming, driving 2 hours to lodge to give a presentation, then you're asking for a huge investment of my time. I'm giving you 20 minutes for 4 hours of my time. We're talking about 2 hours there, 2 hours back. So, and not to mention all the time it took me to write it up, you know. So I understand you have older brothers in your lodge. I get it. But that's on you to be more efficient. So
Yeah.
that would be the other thing, is in time constraints. Don't just think about your presenter, but think about what your business is going to be that month
Mhm.
based on that presenter. Because if you've got a bunch of different stuff, then maybe you get the guy that's just, the next county over that, enjoys giving the short talk bulletins or whatever. Or maybe you just have one of your lodge guys do a short talk bulletin or something. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not very good at that anymore. I used to be real good at it. It's where I started as a Leo, which is a lodge education officer, for all
Mhm.
you guys that did not have that in your lodge. I was a Leo. That's where I started. They
We're dating
didn't know what
ourselves.
they were doing. They
Back when we had officer retreats
yeah,
in Leo's.
forgive me. Yeah, now those brothers that decided on me doing are saying to themselves, "Forgive me, Lord, I did not know what I did."
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was Don Angel. He
What?
was the one that made me the Leo of the lodge.
Mm,
He
gotcha.
was the district education guy. There wasn't a DEO at that time, I don't think, but they created the Leo. Maybe there was a DEO, because that was, I think it was during Tommy's year, his
I
first
think
year.
the DO was like the district Leo basically. Kind
Right,
of
right. That's what it is. Yes,
oversaw the lodge Leos.
but
Those
they
are
didn't
lodge
start.
education officers for
Right, but they didn't
that
start until
I'm
Tommy's
talking
first
about
year in
Lions.
2018.
Got you.
So
I think something that anyone for anyone that's listening to this, if in most lodges meet at least once a month, but ask yourself this: if my lodge had to start meeting quarterly, could we still handle business? Yeah, you would have to be a lot more effective with your committees and a lot more concise with your meetings, because you can't handle 3 months worth of meetings in 1 hour, and no one's going to sit for a 3 hour meeting, right? And so look at it like a challenge, because in all honesty, if you can't run an efficient meeting, it's a good challenge for you to learn how to, right? And if your meetings are already an hour and a half, you, I'm not saying don't do education, but I am saying it's time to focus on making
Your
it more
education ought to be
concise.
how to shorten up that meeting.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Um, like if you could not meet less and still take care of business, you'd have to figure out how to do it. You need to figure out how to do it, because basically what it comes down to is you need to learn how to use those committees efficiently in parliamentary procedure efficiently, so that you're not sitting around hooting and hollering and yee-hawing and whatever for an hour and a half. You handle business, take care of it, because your education should be our priority. And if you
Right.
ever invite somebody, I don't care if it's from a block away or 10 miles away or 100 miles away, and if one, they're there for 2 hours before they finally get to present, or if, God forbid, and I've seen this, they ask you just to present another time, they're not coming back. They're not coming back.
Oh no. Oh no. And I've sat through a long meeting before and just had to leave right after.
Mhm.
I said thank you, brothers, for the floor, and gave the secretary my paper, which I always do. I always give the secretary my presentation so that they have it in the minutes. And so remember that, guys. So when you're presenting, that's a best in practice thing to do as well, to keep it in the minutes and keep it, to where it's worthwhile for future generations as well.
It's a good idea.
Because there's some lodges that go back 100 years and they read the minutes, and what that would be cool if you had a presentation from a brother from 100 years ago, don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I haven't been doing that, but I like that
Oh,
idea.
yeah, I've done it from the very beginning. So I always
Nice.
have yes, and I also I also use thick paper. I don't use the cheap flimsy stuff, because I want it to be good with the minutes. I don't
Mm.
want it to be something that's gonna, get all nasty real quick.
I use the really thin paper that dissolves in water. So if the lodge doesn't have good air conditioning and like the secretary's all sweaty, it just tears up in his desk. It's on him. Don't drip and sweat on my paper. What's up with that?
Hmm. I'm sure you do. I doubt
Okay.
you even know how to print it.
Yeah,
Ask
I
me
wouldn't know
how
how
I
to print it. I wouldn't know how to print
ask
that.
me. It's probably the hardest
I
thing.
do calligraphy. I handwrite it.
Right? Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we got step one, which is identify what we want to do. Step two is, how would you concisely say that?
I would say first, time constraints.
Time constraints.
Decide on your time constraints, and then that will be a step 2A, and then step 2B would be decide on your speakers based on those time constraints.
Got you. Yeah. Okay. So we got the speakers. What would you think the third step is then?
Um, Third step would be to plan other events around that theme.
Mm.
So when you ask a speaker to speak, you're going to either ask them what they're going to speak on, or you're going to ask them to speak on something. So the different events that you have throughout that month, you might want to try to tie to um, whatever that speaker is speaking on. Like if he's speaking on um, if he's speaking on fundraising, that's the month you do your raffle, or you really push your raffle. If he's speaking on lodge finance, that's the month that you're either approving your Form 71 or you're assigning your committees or whatever. I kind of did the same thing with my junior warden when I was master of the lodge.
Mhm.
On whatever we were discussing that night, I wanted him to speak on something relevant to that in the law book.
Wise.
So it was relevant to the night. So what I would say, kind of do the same thing with your speakers, and maybe have month-long events that cater to that kind of a thought.
Mhm.
What if it's like 1 month I know is going to be on Goliad history, right? Which will probably be in March for Fannin, for the Fannin Memorial. So you've got the Fannin Memorial going on. You've got Goliad history. How cool would it be to open up lodge with a candlelight lodge in that same themed month?
That would be awesome.
You know, I mean, and everybody wear as period as they can get. If they don't have it, just try and just try to make it like a dress up night of period clothing and
Everybody's
open
got a
up,
pair of long johns. Just throw those on.
yeah, and some overhauls.
There you go.
My daughter does. I do not,
They'll
but I
stretch.
could get some. There is a Dickies near you when you live down in my area. But that's an idea. It's like you do in school, isn't it? That's kind of what y'all do in school when you're teaching subjects. The teachers kind of um, have themes within the different subjects to tie them all together in a way.
Yeah,
I
you
know
want
they
to
do
have
elementary school.
you want to have even up to high school. You want to have activities that reinforce what you're learning. It's not all just standing up giving lectures. Like in science, we do labs. There might be educational games you play or something like that. Um, it's similar to what you're saying. You want to you want to do activities, things that are along this thematic with what you're trying to present. I wholeheartedly agree. And it could even be something like during dinner, if you do dinner before the lodge, have a have one of the brothers of your lodge give like a 5 minute, just like an appetizer, right? Of course you want to run it by the actual guys going to speak. You don't want to talk about the same thing twice necessarily,
Right,
but it could
right,
still be just a really broad, really, hey, these are the separate liberal arts and sciences, blah 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 blah. And tonight we're going to have our speaker. He's going to go in real depth on this. But you have something. It's a different speaker. He's talking about it, and sometimes just having someone different talk about something, it it already creates that process of reinforcing the learning. So if I hear a little something about that during dinner, when he starts talking about it, um, well, I don't really know what the term is, but sometimes when people are talking, or like you're watching a movie, for example, and they're talking about something, and they're like, "What is that they're talking about?" And you kind of like, I've heard something about that. And you're thinking, but then you're not paying attention to what's being presented. So if you do like a little primer, just a little
right.
short intro, they're like, "Oh, okay." And then when he starts talking about it during the actual presentation, but I know exactly what he's talking about because we just reviewed that. It's kind of like going over the science and like the different degrees before you open, for the brothers that hadn't been
Right.
there very much. We do that in York right a lot because there's so many. That way you're not sitting there like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. You just went over it. Same kind of concept. You're reinforcing it before you step into before you jump into the deep end, I guess.
Well, even if it's not a short review like that, like you were saying, and I've seen it in at Triune Lodge with Carlos Cantu. His he had, during his year as master, had someone stand up and read the short talk bulletin during dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of got everybody in the mood, like, yeah, so this is why we're here. And then during the deal, then I gave a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of, you're right. It primes the pump, gets you ready, reminds you why you're here. It's almost like um, just preparatory.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't even take it all in at all, any of it in, at least it's preparing their mind
Yeah.
for the main event.
Yeah, even if it's a short talk, like I'm not a huge fan of short talks, but even it
Me
doesn't have
neither.
to be like a life changing. That's not what the point of it is. It's to kind of get your mind, the juices flowing, like you're saying. It's to prime that pump so that when you actually go in there. And I also really like the idea that you suggested. If there's something you're going to be going over tonight, and there's something relevant to that in the law book, have your junior warden read that. I mean, it doesn't take long, right? Most laws can be read in less than 5 minutes, and just have him go over that before the program. That way, because you always had these guys and like, well, they think they're experts on the law. Well, let's just go ahead and get that out of the way too, right?
Right.
So if you have any questions about the legality, or oh, I don't know that we could do this or not, or if you anticipate they're going to suggest something that you know won't coincide with the law, go ahead and have that read before too.
Right. Right. Well, and another thing, Goliad has education every Wednesday in the form of floor school, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm speaking on peace and harmony and who can best work and agree, um, that typically is coming out, at least the different parts of my talk are going to touch on the entered apprentice degree.
Mhm.
So it would be wise for them to practice the EA degree all month. Every Wednesday, practice the entered apprentice degree. Get
Mhm.
really good at it, or get as good as you can get within that month's period. And then the next month, depending on what's being talked about, do that in your floor school. Kind of reinforce it that way as well in ritual as well as with the presentation. Now that's what we do at OSO when we do our education night. Um, we do some floor school, and then I give a short presentation on something that has to do with what we were learning in floor school.
Hmm.
Like
Good point.
this last month, I felt it was really fitting to discuss a little bit about the parliamentary procedure, right?
That's always wise. Yeah.
Since it's in the Jim Rumsey monitor, then
Eat your heart out, Lightfoot.
that's for all you right. That's for all you committee on work guys out there.
So
That's just a poke, guys.
let
But
me let me ask you this, and this is definitely for personal reasons, but I think anyone watching this can say, well, first of all, even these guys don't have all the answers, but also these guys are willing to practice what they preach, and if they don't know the answer, they know to act. So where I'm going with this is my lodge just recently we've begun an undertaking to renovate the main entry room, which is our dining room. And because the worship master wants to do programs that bring people from the community in to recognize them before our meetings and stuff, just to get the community more involved and bring people into the lodge, the lodge building, not necessarily the lodge room. And so that's great. And but my words to him, and he thought about it and agreed with me, because there was a whole bunch of junk in there, just from there was like a fridge, from basically just things for raffles that haven't been taken care of yet. There was a whole bunch of historic stuff that nobody looked at. It was a mess, right? And it had the original tiles from like 1960, which were ugly too. And where I'm going with this is we agreed like, hey, if we're gonna start bringing community members in this room, it needs to be a little more impressive, right? So we're going to redo the walls. We got a lot of the clutter out of there, and we're going to redo the floors with nice looking like the wood. Um, gosh, I don't remember what it's called, but make it look like wood instead of just these tiles. And so my question, long story short, is can you suggest something? I'm thinking maybe Pac said something probably, but can you suggest something off the top of your head? And if not, you can get with me later that I can give in a program that really reinforces the importance of taking pride in our buildings and making them um, more impressive.
um, man, Robert and Chris are better at this, but
And the
I would
reason,
say I go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say. I
Okay,
forgot where I
so
was going.
me personally, what I would go with, because you're talking about bringing the public in to educate them on Freemasonry, um, I would bring up something that has to do with Pike's interpretation of the first degree, which is where the the beginning of our journey in the
Mhm,
first degree is going through the door and leaving the profane outside.
mhm,
So you want to make an impact that's going to cause anyone that walks through your door to leave the profane outside. It's going to
mm,
take it. It's going to remove a lot of the prejudices that they have, the preconceived notions in their mind when they walk through that door, or it's going to enhance it towards education and that's kind of what I would go with,
I like
trying
that.
to
Which book is that in?
first degree. Morals and
Okay,
Dogma. I'm
got
sorry.
you. I
Duh.
was like,
Duh.
okay, I got a copy. I'll look that up.
Well, not only
Um,
that, but you can listen to it while you're driving to work
I really like
on
that.
on audiobook.
And this is an aside, I know, but you reminded me. I was in a group in a local city, a local community. It was like a leadership program, and we were given a tour of the city, not the city, the county courthouse. And for a small rural county, it's a very beautiful courthouse. And the
Hmm.
judge was not giving the tour, but he was in and out, like talking to people and stuff. He's also a brother. And someone asked him, why why does this courthouse need to look so nice? Isn't it kind of a waste of taxpayer dollars? And the response, it's not gonna be precise to what he said, but basically,
Right.
when people come in here, they need to understand that this is not the same place as it is outside. That when they come in here, they need to understand that this is a place of law. This is a place of order. People should have reverence for the rule of law, reverence for the judges, and respect for them. And so if you bring it down to the same level as everything around here, no, they're not gonna. It's like if the judge didn't wear his robes and he just showed up in like sweatpants, like joggers and a t-shirt. Who's gonna respect that guy, right? And
Just
so,
think, just think if they were to walk in your lodge into that room and saw the four cardinal virtues that we have in our degrees.
mhm,
If they saw, justice and temperance and fortitude, what if they saw all those as statues?
mhm,
If your lodge could afford that, I mean, that's an undertaking. But
definitely,
you
but
know,
yeah,
or if you could just find some good paintings or something of those and have, you know, all similar paintings with all similar frames, put up perfectly in unison and it's squared off and you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I mean, those are the kind of things that will make them understand that it's a little bit reverent, a little bit, it's
mhm.
it's going to be philosophy. Have you been to San Marcos Lodge?
Nope, it's on my list. I've heard great
Okay, so
things.
you need to do that before you transform your
Mm,
walk into San Marcos Lodge. Now, I love St. Albans and Sul Ross, right?
mhm.
But you need to walk into San Marcos Lodge
It's that
before you
impressive,
do
huh?
your when you walk in there, you just get that feel.
You
I
Hank
mean,
Hill. Smells like
yeah,
propane in here.
you go Hank Hill on them,
Nice.
without
Yeah.
the t-shirt.
Yeah. No, I had thought of that actually. I was like, because I've been to Hillcrest. Um,
Hillcrest is the same way.
yeah,
You
yeah,
immediately know what you're getting into when you walk through those doors.
yeah. No, you won't. And I've been to a lot of lodges, but you go to Hillcrest and you go in. It looks pretty. It looks pretty non-assuming from the outside. And I think that's fine. It should still look nice. A lot should still look nice. I don't mean let it like run down on the outside because you have a nice interior, but it looks like just like a normal building. Then you go in and he's like, this is not like other lodges. The same
Right.
thing you say to Albans. Same thing you say to Albans. Like you go in there, it's like this is a nice, clean, well thought organization here because you could tell thought went into design and everything they do in there. And so San Marcos is on my list for sure.
Right. Yeah, you can kind of get the gist of what they're all about by seeing all the books in the background, the big bookcases and stuff. And
Mhm.
so it's yeah, there's something to be said.
Yeah.
So I would say, you got one more lodge to visit before you decide on what you want to do, and then kind of put those three thoughts together as you mold this masterpiece.
Yeah. Where's San Marcos? Is that south of Austin or north of Austin? That's
It's in
Round
San
Rock, right?
Marcos. No,
San
it's
Marcos
it's
is
kind of it's kind of east.
kind of east of. Okay.
Well, it's south. Well, it's not exactly on 35. It's kind of south and a little bit east. Not real east, but a little bit east.
Yeah. I had been to San Marcos, but it had been a long time. I hadn't been to the lodge, but I went there for business one time. So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'll take pictures. They'll think I'm a tourist or something.
Yeah.
All right. So we
No,
got
they'll understand. They'll get it.
we got step
Okay,
one
go ahead.
through three. And again, to reinforce, step three would be wow, we talked about a lot. How would you summarize step three? Um hmm, what do you think?
Um, Reinforcing the content
Yeah,
reinforcement,
there we go.
maybe.
Planning for content reinforcement and things, planning activities around the content.
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. So if you have somebody giving a lecture on charity, do something like have the blood bank come by and everybody give blood,
I like
something
that.
like that.
That's good.
Plan that in the same month.
I'll say the really there's only one other thing that's really coming to mind for me, and it's possibly one of the most, these are all equally important, I guess. And that is communicating your lectures, what's happening. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if Jim Rumsey's coming to your lodge. If you don't tell anybody about it, you're still going to have the same 30 guys show up.
Yep.
And that's fine because it benefits your lodge, but you don't want just those guys. You want the brothers that haven't showed up lately. You want to try to get them out of the woodwork trying to come in, but you also want other people from other lodges to come visit. Because it's kind of selfish just to keep all this education to yourself. Because when your district, this is another reason MWC is important, but when your district starts growing, Freemasonry all around benefits. And so when
Right.
you're communicating, hey, Dennis Yates is coming to give a presentation on peace and harmony. I mean, well, as soon as you know he's going to do it, you need to 30 days before. No, I wouldn't even say 30. I'd say maybe 60 days at a minimum. You're gonna start putting it out there, and that last 30 days, really push it hard. Like you want it on everybody's calendar, but especially if you have your whole year booked with different people, you definitely want everybody to know these people are talking. But you also don't like if Dennis is coming to talk. I don't want to be pushing Rumsey, who's not coming for another 3 months, right? I don't want to take away from what Dennis is doing. So I'm going to really keep
Correct.
pushing Dennis. Whoever's next, that's who I'm pushing hardest. And then
Yes.
after that, I'm moving on to the next guy, the next guy. And I'm on Facebook. I'm creating events. I'm sharing it. I'm putting on Texas Freemasons. I'm putting it on my website. Um, Twitter, if I got a Twitter for the lodge, Insta, if I got one. I'm telling everybody, and I'm visiting and telling everybody, hey, Worship Rumsey is going to be coming to our lodge on whatever date next month. Be there or miss out.
Be there and be square.
Be there and be square. Yeah.
Um, that is my coin phrase, by the way. Nobody is allowed to use that without my express. No, just kidding.
Mine was be
Um,
there in your
I
underwear.
would, I would, yeah. Oh man, I would, I would state I would put an asterisk next to this. So I agree with you 100%. You only do who's going to speak that month. But if you do have, because you're going to have your district wide, and maybe I have a big district. So, I mean, it really covers an hour away,
How
really.
many
But
lodges are in your district? As a side note, since you said it was big,
6,
it's just big geographically.
they're spread out. They're an hour and a half from the furthest two.
Oh wow.
Yeah, almost 2 hours from the furthest two.
Wow.
So yeah, so my area covers a big area, but um, for all the other lodges out there, if you like, let's say you're in District 64 or District 14, you're going to want to make sure that all of the district knows those are huge districts, so that you'll get a big crowd.
Mhm.
But if you have something happen that's a once a quarter kind of a thing, like an event that you have 3 or 4 speakers coming at on a Saturday, or even one speaker that's coming in on a Saturday, you want to make that a regional event. You want to, so not only if you're going to make it a regional event, it also gets that regional timestamp. So it takes the quarter to get that regional reach, I should say. So yeah, you have your monthly that everybody hears about within the certain radius, and you have to define those. That's an important thing. You have to define those. That may be one of the things that we should have put in there before this one, but it can incorporate 4A and 4B. So you needed to define your areas, right? And what's going to be regional and what's going to be just your regular meeting area. So that you can make sure you blast to these guys at every deal. And of course, you want to do Texas Freemasons and stuff like that. You want everybody to have that opportunity in case somebody's coming into town. But on your regional stuff, you really want to push, especially if you're having a dinner that's associated with it. You really got to go all out. You have to hit every avenue multiple times. So you have your, let's say you're doing your right after one speaker, you're going to announce the next speaker, and then a week before that next speaker, you're going to remind everybody. So every other week, you're going to have notices go out to everybody, right? Now, during that same time, you're going to have the off weeks of those every other weeks. You're going to have the regional that's going to be advertised.
Yep.
So you're always going to be in the front page. Once a week, you're going to have a hit going out to everybody. And then you have them separated. So time management is extremely important as far as communication and distribution on getting the word out.
Yeah. And the thing is also, Facebook's great, right? But we're talking about also going in public and stuff, like actually physically talking about it. If you're going to have like a really huge event, like multiple speakers like Dennis is talking about, or say like the Grand Master's coming, or say like the summit we held.
Grand Master is a minimum hour and a half. Minimum.
And the thing is, if you're traveling an hour and a half to visit all these lodges, this is also why it's important to start it sooner and throwing it out there sooner, because you have a lot of places you got to touch, and
you got a lot of people you're competing with.
Yeah, you got a lot of people competing with. You can still mention whoever you have come that month, but you definitely say, look, in 3 months, Marsh Marshall is going to be at our lodge, and it's going to be a huge deal. And so put on your calendars right now. Save the date. Exactly. Because even if they can't come to your lodge for this month, they for sure, if they're wise, they're for sure going to want to be at this event with the Grand Master if they could be there.
Right. Well, and that may be one of those things to where you're pushing out a QR code as well.
Yep.
for a save the date that they can automatically save to their phone and whatnot. That's always a good idea.
I agree.
But yeah, the time management for marketing is extremely important. Like the Lexington degree, I've even got on the South Texas Masons.com website that we have. It was originally going to be the MWSA 37 website, and then Mike King and I decided that we really wanted to make it bigger than just 37. We have all of 37 in there, or the capability of having 37 in there, but we want to extend it to any lodge that wants to be on our website. So they can have a page if they want to have a page, or have a link if they want to have a link. But on that website, we're pushing the Lexington degree, and I've got a countdown clock on there that's letting everybody know you only have this much time. So it's that's why you do that. You have to create that sense of urgency. We had a time clock on ours last year for the summit, and we advertised from the beginning of the year all the way to the summit.
Yep. And Dennis and I both traveled very far to spread that message.
Well, and look at who we got. I mean, we got people from all states all around us. Every state around us had a representative there to be a part of that summit.
So the lesson to take away is, if you're going to have a big event, well, definitely you want to have big people there, right? But the bigger the event you're planning, the further ahead you need to start really getting that out there. If you're selling tickets, you can start selling tickets. Granted, you probably won't start really selling them till that month, maybe even like 2 weeks before that. But you want to start pushing hard. The bigger it is, the further out you want to push it.
Oh yeah. Giggity. And we're at the very furthest part of Texas. Yep. And we reached up into Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana. I mean, we had people from all over coming in for it. And it wasn't just our speakers either. We had, grand lines coming in from other states.
It's not to toot our horn. It's just to show the importance. Like, if you want a big event, plan accordingly. Don't start talking about it enough before.
And you get and you create that excitement and that and build that expectation, and people will show up.
Absolutely. Cool. You got any other steps you want to add?
We got the time management for marketing. Well,
I'll say this just as a bonus content, I guess.
I'll do a bonus content.
Even if and Dennis talks about being on an island a whole lot. Like, if you feel like you're on an island and you watch this and you want to do education, but you're like, I don't know where to start, I don't know anybody to reach out to. First of all, you can reach out to us. Like, we can point to people in your direction, right? But if you just feel so overwhelmed with the idea, like, I want to do education, but this whole thought of reaching out to people and all this other stuff is overwhelming to me, then start with our content. And the reason I say that is it's already there. It's prepackaged. If you look on the videos, we've been doing this how many years, you and I now? This is like year 3, right?
Together, we're over 3 now.
Yeah, Dennis and I've been together for 3 years, right? And so
just the two of us.
But even before that, because I don't know how long I was before Dennis. It didn't really start till Dennis came, but I put stuff out. But my point is, look through the videos, because there are so many videos over so much Masonic content that you can find something. There's something, and just take that, copy the link, take it to log, get your TV, play it on your phone. Anything's better than nothing, and do it during dinner, or when people are just talking, or
say that again,
your lodge.
Because I don't know if it was my side that froze up or your side that froze up, but you froze for a second. So say that again. just in
Where,
case it was your side.
okay.
Um,
I don't know where
we have so much content. Copy the link.
copy the link and take it to watch. Send it to your secretary. Have him have if you have a TV, play on the TV, project it with a laptop. There's a multitude of ways that you could get this in front of brothers, and anything's better than nothing, right? You start somewhere. When I started creating Masonic Improvement, I recorded in my classroom after hours on a cell phone, right? Start with whatever you have, wherever you're at, and then get brothers hooked on that education, and you can go from there, right? Even if you don't know where to start somewhere. And it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. And if you don't like the ads that we have, then look into joining the inner circle, because most of our videos are ad free if you're inner circle. And if they're not, let me know and I'll be sure it is. Right? I can download it and put it as inner circle, and then you can play it for your whole lodge without worrying about commercials. But that's a
Well,
place to start, even if nowhere else.
and even if it's, a lot of our videos are long, so you could actually just decide on a spot, find this time to this time, and then pause it, get it all ready, and then when they come in the lodge, then you only play that one section, and then stop it and say, okay, guys, what do y'all think about this concept?
Mm-hmm.
And just let the conversation start, and have a discussion on something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
you probably want to play an hour-long video in a lodge meeting or something, but
no.
yeah, Dennis is right. Or you could just put it on. There's an option, there's a setting where you can make it twice as fast, right? And so you could double the speed. Sometimes I do that on videos where people are just talking like Dennis was talking about, trying to drag out their video. So I'll just click that and double speed it, or find out exactly like, hey, this is where I want to start, this is where I want to stop, and just do like that.
That's a good one. Now, here's another idea. And once you get good at this education thing, how about the thought of possibly having someone from the secular world come and speak on a topic?
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing that I really love that Austin is doing is they're working on a lecture series to where they bring someone in from the college to give a presentation on theology or philosophy or whatever, a particular topic of the choice of the lodge or whatever. I don't know how they're deciding it, but even that kind of a thing would be cool. Or at some point, especially if you have something like this available to you, um, having a guest speaker come in and taking advantage of that venue to where you could fill it with people to see this one speaker, and do that as a kind gesture to the community or whatever. Let's say it's a who's that guy that does the finance stuff, that tells you how to fix your finances?
Dave Ramsey.
Yes, Ramsey. So let's say you were able, now you wouldn't be able to afford Dave Ramsey, but let's say that you were able to get, a
That's how he
third
can afford to
tier.
talk about finance.
Let's say you're able to get a third tier financier to come in and talk about finance, and talk about managing your money. I mean, that's a benefit to the community.
Ron Dansby.
Oh my goodness. I could see the wheels turning, and you were trying to come up with that. So, but that would be cool too. Or and I'm from an ag area. You could get somebody from Texas A&M and explain the USDA process or something like that. Who knows? Just some kind of a thing that would be cool to bring the FHA in, the FFA, all of the kids, bring them in, their parents, to learn about something like that.
I would suggest also reach out to like your local historical society. We had a chamber banquet at the beginning of the year in the local historical society.
We are so over our local historical society here. No, just kidding. We have a brother that's on the historical commission, and we love him. But
Mhm.
if I was gonna have anybody historical come in, it would be him. He's excellent at
Yeah.
Goliad history. But you're right. You're right. Most older towns, even small ones, have a historical society that can talk about the town, and usually they can talk about the Masons in the town.
Mhm.
I have a book that was written by one of the she's like she was a self-made or self-proclaimed historian. It was the wife of the White family, and she took notes on everybody. She was in everybody's business
Mhm.
and wrote it all down. No, she really wrote. She wrote a book this thick on Goliad history, and it told about all the families, told about the lodge, told about all the churches, told about, it was really a detailed book on Goliad history. And so you have those people in your cities, I'm sure, to help out with that. Yep, there you go.
Yep.
And usually you'll have parts of your lodge in there. There will be remnants.
Inevitably. So to your point, go back to that presentation I was talking about. It was just about the community. However, the lodge played such a big role. And then in the 60s, it actually burned down. And it was it was a 2 hour presentation. He's talking 30 minutes about the lodge. And he's not a Mason. And so
Right.
inevitably your lodge will have such a role in your city that they will have something. They'll have stuff to talk about related to your lodge. Um,
Right.
in
Well, and
most
like
cases.
especially if you're in a town like Waco where you have Baylor University there, Denton has North Texas. Well, Austin has UT. The A&M is in Commerce. You know, you can bring a history professor from there to speak,
Oh, that would be so
and
cool.
and and have the history of the area. And I bet you they would love to do it, and do it as a lecture series for the school itself, as a matter of fact.
Well, especially
So
you have, sorry.
you could ask to if they could come up with something for, your lodge, but ask if you could invite the whole community to come into to this
Yeah. Well, I
the
mean,
college.
liberal arts and sciences is such a broad topic. You could almost certainly find a professor that covers one of those. And you're right, have it be an open event. Have a really nice meal and have it be an open event and just invite
Yeah,
friends and
a
family and
night a
whoever.
night in the stars, astrology. Oh my
Mm,
goodness. Having a professor, talk about that, and geometry even, and how buildings are built, and the curvature of the world was determined, and the distance of the stars. I mean, there's so much that can be discussed within geometry. And then you might think it's a dull topic that's just shapes and whatever, shapes and numbers,
mhm.
but it can really be a profound it is a profound impact on our universe, and so it can be expanded profoundly.
I mean, geometry is how the Earth was proven to be round. Sorry, flat
Yeah,
earthers. But it was way before, it wasn't Christopher Columbus that discovered. We knew that it was around for a long time. Um,
right.
so geometry, you're right. I mean, you have to say like free ice cream and a
That's
presentation
a
on
whole
geometry
that's
or
a
something
whole
like that.
need. That's a whole need for the compasses.
There you
That's the
go.
whole need for the compasses, because it measures curvature.
Hmm.
That's the whole need for them. Otherwise, we would just have two squares.
Yeah. Two squares like
Two
us.
squares like this.
Like you and me.
Just the two of us.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is a PG show. You can't show that. No, no,
maybe copyright infringements. I love that part. I love that part. Anyways, I
Yeah,
digress.
yeah, a
But
little bit.
there's options. There's so many options that we have in our lodges to take education wherever we want it to go.
Mhm,
And sure, with what we're talking about, it would take a lot of planning. It would take a lot of effort.
mhm,
But once you get used to it and get good at it, you'll people will come out. I have people already coming to me in lodge and saying, "Man, I really enjoyed that last White Rabbit. I really enjoyed reading that. That really," and I've had several people do that. That really made my day reading that portion of the news for the month.
mhm.
And you get those guys, and then you start feeding them this other education, and then they're going to want more. And so then you can graduate to this other education, and those guys will be willing to help you do it. Once you get started, the brothers that love it are going to help you to continue it for sure.
I agree. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna do my final thought just because it's getting late and I'm starting an early day tomorrow. But I want to
Wah,
hit.
wah, wah.
I
Yeah, go
know.
ahead. Go ahead.
You did say something that I want to really circle back to in my closing thought here is that it's very easy, especially if you're new to all this. And I talked about like you can do presentations and stuff like the videos, but it's real easy to be victim to it's called analysis paralysis because education is a very broad topic. And you could say, I want to bring something to the lodge. I don't know what it is, what I want to be. I don't know who I want to have come first. I don't know what the topic needs to be. What if they don't like it? What if they laugh at me? Blah, 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 blah. Just do it, man. Just do it. Don't don't let yourself overanalyze things that have not happened. Pick something that you are interested in. Like I said, history was boring earlier to me. I'm not a history teacher. There's a reason for that. But I do enjoy a good historical presentation, like I was talking about with the Historical Society. And so if your history is your thing, do history. If you want to go into some of the symbolism, go into that. If you want to go into the ritual, talk about some of the stuff that's appropriate, do that. Find what you like, that you're passionate about, and bring that to the lodge. And don't overanalyze that. Pick something that you could talk on, that you feel the most confident to talk about, and do it. Just do it. So many good ideas have been lost to overthinking. And so just pick something that you like. And if you don't feel competent about it, but you like, say you like one of our videos, share that. Or if there's a short talk that you really love, share that. If there's an excerpt out of the monitor that always just really resonated with you and you want to like talk about that and go into that, share that. If there's a Masonic book or any book that covers anything even relatively Masonic that you feel the brothers would benefit from, write a little presentation on it and share it. But overthinking it, before you know it, you'll wait a month, and then it'll be 6 months, and then it'll be a year, and by then you'll just tell yourself you just forget about it. So just do it now. The 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 worst thing that can happen is nobody benefits from it. The best thing that can happen is you can revolutionize your lodge. And honestly, there will be times when you'll give a presentation and it will fall on deaf ears. And that's normal. It's normal, man. Um, I traveled one time to San Antonio, not San Antonio, but it was a lodge near San Antonio. And they didn't really give me direction on what they wanted me to present. So I brought one of my presentations and it fell on deaf ears. Like, it was like, why did you even come talk about that? And that will happen sometimes, right? It's part of the process. It's part of learning. And so I will never travel to another lodge to talk about their finances if they don't ask me to talk about their finances, right? So
Right.
lesson learned. But but it most of the things that hold us back in our lives are just right here, right? Your biggest fears, they don't usually happen. They don't usually come to pass. And so what if someone laughs at you? This isn't junior high. Who cares? They probably don't need to be in a lodge. They're going to laugh at somebody for sharing education anyway. So that's really where I want to end on my note with that. You have resources. If you're watching this, you have resources, even if you don't feel like it, because if you are watching this and you want to improve your lodge, you have Dennis and I. You have us. That's our pledge to you. Like, I'm not in a position where I can drive to like the northernmost part of Maine if you need me to come give a presentation, but I will do everything I can within my power to help you get things going where they need to be. And I'm speaking for Dennis, but I have seen him walk the walk, and I know he would too. He might actually travel to Maine. Who knows? I hear it's nice this time of year, but
Yeah.
it's not 100 degrees.
I might not drive, but I can fly.
But you have that resource. That's what we're here for, and leverage that. And if you don't feel comfortable reaching out to people, again, find a short talk, find something that has changed your life, and share it with other people. Because if it was important to you, if it made a difference to you, it will make a difference to other people. Again, thank you all for coming and watching our show. Appreciate each and every one of you. And don't dismiss the value of the inner circle that we discussed, because you can get all of our content ad free. There's exclusive content just for inner circle stuff members. It's there. It's great. It's like a round table with conversations like this, with just us zooming with each other and talking. So definitely consider that too. Dennis, what you got?
I just like to reiterate that first it starts with a vision. You have to you think about the vision, and then you go into execution mode, and you decide on what it's going to take to see that vision into fruition. And so all the steps that we've talked about tonight will help you do exactly that. And they don't even have to be all in the exact same order or whatever. I mean, they're just different steps that it takes to put an education program together for your lodge. And don't ever stop at just one, because you will never gauge how well something does based off of one event. You know, data is called data for a reason. It takes a lot of it to really get a good picture of it. If it was called something else, it would be called singular event. But data is all due. You know, statistics is what data is all about. Data is all about. I'm texting. Let me just get real with my talking. Data is all wrapped around statistics, and you're not going to get the statistics you're looking for if you don't have enough data. So you've got to have a good spread of different topics. You've got to have a good spread of different presenters, different style presenters. You know, some people like PowerPoints, some don't. Some like that visual. I personally walk around the room. I don't use PowerPoints. I walk around the room and talk to all the brothers in the lodge. I don't sit stagnant. I don't like to. I have, but I really like to walk around the room. There's a real renaissance happening, and that's why we're talking about this. A lot of lodges are starting to do it. So don't be discouraged if you call on people and they're already booked. You know, I'm already booked for most weeks through June of next year. And so yeah, June of next year. So, but that's not all weeks. So, you know, I may not be available for one or two specific times, but I may be available for another. And if I'm not, I'm sure somebody is. Mm-hmm. So don't get discouraged. Don't just ask one or two people to come and speak at your lodge. do like our lodge has done, and like many lodges are doing, and try to, as soon as you decide to do it, then you start making your phone calls and you write them in, and you just keep going month to month, and keep going. So that's that's about as wrapped up as I can be on this. And again, this is part of our education series on what makes a best in practice lodge. You know, that's our goal, is to find best in practice. And as we learn more, we're going to extend it off to you. You know, you cannot be a master of anything if you're unable to be a teacher and an apprentice. You know, you have to be able to teach and learn to continuously be a master in your own right, in my opinion. And so, you know, this is just helping you bring your lodge full circle. You're already doing it for yourself. That's why you're listening, I'm sure. And there's other people just like you out there. And sometimes you don't even know who those people are in your lodge because they don't speak up.
Mhm.
A lot of times people, you know, decide with their feet and they walk away. So that's where newsletters are good to break the ice, is to get people started understanding what direction your lodge is starting to go, because it emails out to the masses. So, you know, we've discussed different ways, different topics, different teachers, different venues, different ways to structure your time and marketing. I think we've touched on pretty much all we can touch on creating a good, effective education program.
I agree.
The only thing missing is you, just like Justin said. That's the only thing missing.
Yep.
So thank you for your time. Thank you for spending it with us, and we do appreciate your likes and your subscriptions, and of course your patrons. And you know, we appreciate you keeping the light going. Keep the light on, brothers. And above all else, keep it between the points.